Back to this afternoon and time for our Saturday drama. It's just before midnight on an incoming Prime Minister's first day in office.
The Letter of Last Resort by David Gregg. Still here? Burning the midnight oil? Getting the old legs under the desk. Not old legs, of course. Young legs. New legs, at any rate.
Is there something?
Something?
I'm rather in the middle of...
Of course.
Didn't someone say?
Say?
The young man, I asked him to screen.
He said you were busy. Still, I thought I'd pop by. It is your first day.
Right.
Just wanted to check everything was all right.
Everything?
Arrangements, rooms, people.
Arrangements are fine, thank you.
Just wanted to see that you were on top of things.
I'm sorry, your name is...
John.
And you are...
Arrangements.
Well, John, I think I'm pretty much, of course, it's all new. I mean, I'm still getting lost in the corridors and so on, and arrangements are unfamiliar, shall we say. But, yes, I think that, yes, essentially I think I'm on top of things so far. So far, in any case.
Good. It can be discombobulating, especially the first day. The realisation one is in charge, holding the reins. It can unnerve one.
One is fine. One's nerve is holding. One feels quite comfortable holding the reins.
Good.
So if there's nothing else...
As a matter of fact, there is something else.
Right.
It's just a small matter, shouldn't take a moment. But nevertheless, it is a key part of arrangements, if you don't mind.
Can it wait?
Given that I'm here...
A moment.
A couple of moments.
How key?
Quite key.
May I finish this first?
Of course.
It's just this is... I wouldn't mind getting it out of the way if that's all right.
What is it?
It's a letter of condolence.
Oh.
Yes.
Would you rather be alone?
No, it's fine.
I could go out into the corridor.
It's fine, just
with the young man.
No.
Yes, I'll just...
Just...
Hover. Do you need...
It's fine.
There is a template.
I don't want to follow the template.
No?
No. This young man, soldier, a boy. Let's call him what he is. He's a 17-year-old boy, and he's... Anyway, it's my responsibility. I represent to write to the mother, to write not a template. My personal... I mean, if I start using templates now, then what else? No. You have to confront. One has to confront. I have to confront these things, however difficult.
I understand.
However difficult it is for me to write, it's not as difficult as...
Being dead.
Reading it. The mother.
Oh. Yes, I suppose.
It's my responsibility to be honest, to be human.
Start as you mean to go on.
It's hopeless. I wish to express my... As a mother, I feel... It's cheap, it's... You reach out a hand, you hold a hand. Silence is the only honest response.
Still, to offer no acknowledgement, no letter, that would be worse.
Yes.
And there is a template. Perhaps a break.
Oh, you're right, I can't do this now. I'll come to it later. My head's... So... All right, what time is it?
A few minutes to 12.
So, John, The small key matter.
Yes.
What is it?
We need you to write a letter.
Right.
The letter of last resort.
The letter of last resort.
It shouldn't take a moment.
No problem.
It's usually done on the first day.
All right. John.
Yes, Prime Minister?
What is the letter of last resort? Fill me in.
Well, as you know, Prime Minister, at any given moment there is always at least one British Trident submarine on patrol somewhere in the world, its mission being to avoid detection and remain hidden. Inside each Trident submarine is a safe, and inside that safe is another safe, and inside that safe is an unopened letter. That letter contains your orders in the event the captain believes the United Kingdom has suffered a devastating and decapitating nuclear attack.
Letter because it's a letter, and last resort because...
It's only ever opened in the event that, and this would have to be ascertained after the captain and vice-captain had completed a number of very specific protocols, the captain believes the United Kingdom has been attacked, London destroyed, all members of the government killed, defence installations obliterated, and so forth. Once again, given the execution of these long and complex protocols, if the captain determines that the United Kingdom no longer has functioning political or social networks sufficient to give him a legitimate order, then...
He opens the safe.
He opens the safe.
And then he opens the other safe.
That is correct.
And then he opens the letter.
Yes.
And the letter says...
Well, that's very much up to you, Prime Minister. You may wish to tell him that his orders are to fire our nuclear missiles in retaliation, or you may wish to tell him his orders are to refrain from retaliating. The letter is the means by which we ensure that, even in the very last resort, the correct, democratically elected hand remains on our nuclear trigger.
Even if the correct, democratically elected hand has been vaporised?
Yes.
And democracy vaporised with it?
Quite. It's a key matter for you to attend to because, in order to preserve secrecy, the previous letters were destroyed this morning when your predecessor left office. And so, at the moment, as a nation, were anything untoward to happen, not that we expect anything untoward to happen, of course, but if it were, in the absence of a letter, we would be, so to speak, caught with our pants down.
Is there a template?
No.
How does the captain of the submarine know who he's retaliating against?
Responsibility for a massive decapitating nuclear strike is not something that it would be very easy to hide.
No.
Our captains are kept up to date with all the latest geopolitical movements. They constantly monitor radio and satellite traffic, world broadcasting services and so forth. There may even be, in the case of such a massive attack, a direct admission of responsibility on the part of the aggressor nation.
I see. How does the captain know that there's nobody left?
He follows the protocols.
Protocols?
Signs.
What signs?
Not so much signs as the absence of signs.
Right.
No signal traffic on UK defence frequencies. No announcements by UK government or royal officials. The absence of Radio 4.
The absence of Radio 4?
Yes.
The absence of Radio 4, really?
Amongst other things.
Dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum, dum-da-dum-da-da-da.
Ha ha.
Because without the archers, there'd be no civilization.
In fact, it's only one of a number of protocols, and if you think about it, it makes a certain amount of sense, because if the BBC were in any way able to broadcast, someone would be doing so. So the implication of its absence is relatively severe.
Sorry.
Really, Prime Minister, we just need you to write from the PM, etc., to Commander HMS, etc., given the execution of Protocol X and subject to validation procedure Y by your Vice Commander, your orders are either to A, retaliate in a like-for-like manner, or B, not retaliate, or C, act on your own discretion, or D, some other option.
There's another option.
You may wish neither to retaliate nor withhold retaliation, but instead ask the commander to put his submarine at the disposal of Australia.
Right.
Or New Zealand.
Because they're part of the Commonwealth.
Yes. Also, they might be left.
Look, John, the thing is, this is all very well, but it's all so hypothetical.
I don't catch your meaning, Prime Minister.
There is not going to be a devastating nuclear attack on Britain. London is not going to be destroyed by bombs from Russia or whoever, I don't know.
Iran?
Iran.
As a for instance.
Yes, well, all right, Iran. But the fact is, the political conditions are just... it's impossible in the modern world. I mean, maybe during the Cold War, but nowadays it's... Who'd do it? Who'd actually launch the missiles? Which leader of which country thinks that an attack like that on a country like this would have any meaning?
Still.
I could write a nursery rhyme on this piece of paper, John. It's never going to be read. The events that require it to be opened are quite simply impossible. They're never going to happen.
Except, of course, that they have happened.
What?
The events have happened.
No, they haven't.
Yes, they have.
London has not been attacked, John.
With respect, Prime Minister, London has been destroyed.
Look, London. Tree, sky, bird, cat, night.
The only circumstances in which this letter will be read are those in which there are no longer trees or birds or cats or London or you. As you write this letter, you must assume a world not as it is now, but as it will be in the circumstances of the letter's reading. As soon as you put pen to paper, Prime Minister, London ceases to exist.
What did Fishface write?
I'm sorry?
Monsieur Coiffeur.
I'm terribly sorry.
My predecessor.
Oh, him. I can't say.
Say.
I can't.
Do.
No.
Dear Commander... What name?
Vanguard, Victorious, Vigilant, Vengeance.
Now, I want to use a name.
A name?
Jim, Stan, Jack, Reg.
The protocol is to use the titular form, e.g., Dear Commander, HMS Vengeance.
Britain has been destroyed, John. The Queen is dead. London is ashes. This man's family are dead. Everything he's ever loved is gone. I want to use his name.
Peter, David, Hugh, John.
Dear John. Dear John. Where's he reading this?
In his cabin.
Where?
Under the sea.
Under the sea where? I'm just trying to picture it.
His location will be secret.
Roughly.
Nobody knows where they patrol.
I bet Russian intelligence have a fair idea.
In fact, not.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Don't they have sonar?
Once every 3 months, a Trident submarine slides out of the Firth of Clyde and into the North Atlantic, where they hide, usually under the polar ice or in deep mid-ocean trenches or in the shadow of undersea mountain ranges. They may receive communication, but they can send no communication out. Nuclear engines mean they move silently. Their only purpose, their entire mission whilst on patrol, is to remain undiscovered, so that in the event of a devastating and decapitating nuclear attack, the United Kingdom still has the capacity to retaliate. Unless, of course, your orders are that he not retaliate.
Look. No. I'm not going to do this, John. I'm not going to write any letter. The truth is, I'm pretty ambivalent about the whole nuclear weapons thing anyway. It may be a fact of government, but no, giving orders in advance, no.
Ambivalent?
Yes.
That's not something about which I was advised.
Well, it's not something I like to advertise, but it's true. I was at Greenham, John, and Fastlane. I mean, not as an actual protester, as a fellow traveller. I went with people. I was beside people. I mean, in the end, I found it all too marginal. Somehow we're stuck with these things, But come on. Ideally, we'd be rid of them, wouldn't we? First chance we got. Nobody likes nuclear weapons, do they?
I do. I like nuclear weapons very much.
You like the shape, the penis shape.
It's not their form I like, it's their concept.
You're military. The military always like weapons.
In fact, on the whole, the military are rather against nuclear weapons.
Are they?
Military people like fighting wars, and nuclear weapons are useless for fighting wars. Nuclear weapons aren't intended to fight wars, Prime Minister. They're intended not to fight wars. Their destruction is abstract and conceptual. They are truly philosophical weapons. The military, on the other hand, like their weapons to be concrete and visceral.
Not you, though.
No.
Even though you're military.
I'm not military, Prime Minister. I'm arrangements.
And arrangements likes its weapons philosophical.
The knife stabs, a gun fires, a pilot clicks a button, and there's a vanishing puff of pixels and smoke. But if the commander of a submarine launches a nuclear missile strike, he instigates the total destruction of an entire society. Millions of people die. Vast tracts of land are poisoned forever. The death he brings about isn't prosaic or literal. It's philosophical. It's death as we would experience it ourselves, all-encompassing and personal, and yet, at the same time, utterly unimaginable.
And that's good.
It's the foundation of deterrence. In all the years of their existence, no nuclear-armed nation has ever attacked another nuclear-armed nation.
Until now.
I don't understand.
Birds, trees, cats, London.
Oh, I see, yes. No nuclear-armed nation has ever attacked another nuclear-armed nation until now.
So I'm dead.
Yes.
The captain is somewhere.
Yes.
Under the sea.
Yes.
In a cabin.
Yes.
At his desk. Does he have a desk?
Yes.
Not dissimilar to this desk.
Yes.
Let's role play.
Role play?
You be the captain and I'll be me.
What?
Just imagine.
All right.
You open the safe, and then you open the other safe, and then you see me, and you say...
Madam, I have reason to believe there has been a completely devastating nuclear first strike on the United Kingdom. I'm no longer receiving communication from any identifiable British sources. Monitoring of radio frequencies from other countries suggests that London has been destroyed, along with Glasgow, and therefore the submarine bases on the Clyde. I've been through every one of the protocols designed to confirm the extent of the situation, and each protocol has been passed. In view of this surprise attack, what are your orders?
What's your name, Captain?
My name isn't important, madam.
What is it?
John.
Hello, John.
Hello, madam.
John, have you tried Radio 4?
I have tried Radio 4.
And?
White noise, madam.
Who did it, John?
China.
China.
China. We'd been expecting it, madam.
You said it was a surprise.
They'd been threatening it, but we didn't think they'd actually do it.
Where are your missiles targeted?
Beijing.
Peking.
Beijing is the correct term.
I think we can call it what we bloody well like after what those bastards have done to us.
Yes, madam.
Is retaliation technically feasible?
We have 2 missiles on board with nuclear warheads. Targeting coordinates have been programmed into the computer. If I turn the launch key, we will hit Peking, within 25 minutes.
The turn of a key.
2 keys. I operate the launch jointly with my second-in-command.
What's his name?
His name doesn't matter, madam.
What's his name?
Kevin.
Does your crew know about this?
Not yet.
Who knows about it?
Only myself and Kevin.
How many people will die?
Madam?
How many will die?
Probably something in the region of 10 to 15 million people, madam.
What went wrong?
I don't know.
China?
Yes.
They always seem so rational.
They must have believed an attack was in their interest.
Didn't they know that we'd retaliate?
They must have calculated that we wouldn't.
Did we indicate that we wouldn't retaliate?
Quite the opposite, madam. We forcefully indicated that we would.
But they didn't believe us?
No.
Why not?
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
There's a possibility.
Which is?
It's possible that they believed it was in their interest to attack, and that despite our indication after the attack, we wouldn't retaliate.
Well, of course we're going to retaliate. Why wouldn't we retaliate?
Because to retaliate would be irrational. What's the point? Britain is already functionally destroyed. There's no state to speak of. Most of our people are dead. Whatever remains of our society is defeated.
Yes, but...
There may be an emotional argument in favour of a revenge attack, but in all likelihood, the Chinese cabinet ministers who ordered the attack will have long ago repaired to a well-defended nuclear bunker somewhere in remote Mongolia. Any retaliation we enact, therefore, will be nothing less than the wholesale murder of 15 million civilians, and all to no military or political purpose.
I'm sorry, but they started.
It may also be illegal. Under international law, it's likely to be construed that the captain of the ship, me, who fires the retaliatory weapons, could well be committing a war crime.
That's a very fine argument, isn't it?
It's actually a very central argument. I'm not sure that I would be able to obey an order that effectively induced me to commit a war crime.
Your country's been destroyed. All the people you love are dead.
I realise it's an emotional scenario.
It's an emotional, bloody scenario, all right. I don't see how there can possibly be a problem with international law. I mean, surely any putative court at any future time will understand that retaliation in the form of wiping out pigging king is legitimate use of counterforce to their massive provocation.
Yes, but you're not giving the order in the future, madam. You're giving the order now.
So?
When you write the letter, you're not in the heat of battle. You're in the cool of the present moment, and in that moment you are ordering the murder of 20 million innocent civilians, in the full knowledge that it's an act with no military or political purpose. If and when you write that order, therefore, you are consciously committing a war crime.
I'm Vapour, John. What are you going to do, sue me?
You may be dead, but I am alive.
Alive in a tub under the sea. A tin tub and a bomb. That's all that's left of Britain, John. The United Kingdom, the British Empire, Albion. All that's left of all we ever were and have been is you and Kevin and some bewildered seamen in a can.
The moral point remains, madam.
I saw one once. We were on a hillside above Loch Long. My boyfriend at the time was a protester and I'd gone up for a weekend to visit him. We were sitting round a campfire, my bum wet with morning dew, bacon frying, the forest orange and brown, whisper of mist, the loch dark and glassy. And then suddenly I saw it, Trident. It was cutting through the water, silent and black, like time passing. Everybody started banging pots and pans and booing and yelling. My boyfriend shouted, "Murderers! Murdering pigs!" But I felt warm. I was surprised to see them. The sailors on the deck, the captain on the tower. I felt warmly towards them. Them. It. Well, I didn't say anything, of course. I hated nuclear weapons, obviously, but there was an ambivalence. The sailors on the deck, the movement through the water, the seriousness of it. I felt as if I was watching my father riding home on a black horse.
The boyfriend, was he vetted?
Long gone. John, is there no way you can contact someone in authority? Can't I order you to call, I don't know, the UN?
Any form of radio contact would give away our position and render us open to being sunk, which would therefore remove the potentiality of the weapon.
Right. So, I can't order retaliation because that would be a war crime. So I must order you not to retaliate. Dear John. Dear Kevin. If you're reading this, then I can assume there has been the most terrible cock-up. I'm truly sorry. However it came about, you can be sure it was not intended. Please don't retaliate. Whatever dignity there is left in the British state, we muster at this moment, and we refuse to stoop to their level and commit a war crime. My orders are that you sail to Australia, if it still exists, and put yourself at the disposal of the Australian Navy. I hope that in some way you and your crew manage to build a life of some worth out of the horror in which you find yourselves at this moment. God bless you all.
Of course, madam.
Thank you, John. that was helpful.
You're welcome, madam. Prime Minister,
Yes?
can I offer you some contrary advice?
What?
Some advice against ordering non-retaliation.
Are you Captain John now or Arrangements John?
Arrangements, John.
Arrangements John, it's late.
I know, but as I say, this really is key.
All right.
Prime Minister, deterrence can really only work in principle if a potential aggressor nation has complete and utter certainty that in the event of a devastating, decapitating nuclear first strike, they will be retaliated against.
But we...
If you don't commit to retaliation, then the United Kingdom will always be vulnerable to the threat of an aggressive, decapitating strike.
To retaliate is irrational.
That's as may be, but without the irrational threat of retaliation, there's no point in having nuclear weapons at all.
John,
Yes, madam?
are you saying that the entire edifice of Britain's nuclear weapons establishment, the submarines, the sailors, the missiles, the bases, the whole multi-billion-pound programme, are you saying that in the end it all rests on what I write on this piece of paper now?
Yes, madam.
To write retaliate is monstrous and potentially illegal. To write don't retaliate renders the whole nuclear weapons project valueless.
Yes, madam.
So, these words which I must conjure in the face of unimaginable horror, a horror which nonetheless I have to imagine, given that these words exist, we must assume that somehow, in some way, this unimaginably horrible world has come into being. Into this abyss, into this... John, into this darkness, which we are spared, but which someone will have to face in reality. Into this darkness, these words must go. In that darkness, they must say, don't retaliate. But the only logic I can use to write the words comes from the actual world in which I'm writing, the world of light, and in that world, the only words I can write are do retaliate.
Yes, madam.
Which brings me to another paradox. Because if these words exist, then I'm dead. And not just me, but all those who'd represent me. And so these words, therefore, which I must conjure tonight in the form of orders, written, stamped, folded amongst the full pomp of power, of state, of arrangements, are in fact nothing but marks on a page that in the moment of opening will mean absolutely nothing. Nothing. Why? Because who's going to enforce them? Who will make John obey my orders? Kevin? No, these impossible words which I write as orders are in fact not orders, but a request. I mean, not even a request, a thought. Barely even a thought, a prayer, a spell, an incantation written by a little girl, spat on, sung over, burnt to ash, and then hidden in a locket and given to a boy before he goes to sea. I speak you a spell, spoke it, will speak it, and when you open the locket, the spell's broken. And whatever dark magic it is that gives these words their power now, will in the moment of opening be reversed. And each phoneme, each syllable smeared across the paper will carry reverse magic, a dark anti-animation, the opposite of life, the opposite of breath. Death. The suck of death.
Yes.
Logically, I have to write retaliate.
Yes.
Dear John, there has been a cock-up. Please retaliate.
Yes. Madam,
Yes, John.
it isn't enough to write it. You have to mean it.
What?
If you don't mean it, your ambivalence will reveal itself in your behaviour. It would appear to our enemies that the letter of last resort does not order post-strike retaliation.
But it does. I just wrote it.
What you actually write doesn't matter. What matters is what the world thinks you've written.
I could show them the letter.
The moment you show the world the letter, you'll be potentially liable for prosecution for inciting a war crime.
Well, what can I do then?
There really is only one rational thing you can do.
What is it?
Be irrational.
John, it's late. What?
The rational thing for you to do, Prime Minister, in all matters of world affairs, is to behave in a wayward and dangerous manner.
You can't be serious.
I'm deadly serious. In order to keep the value of a nation's nuclear deterrent, the rest of the world has to believe the leadership of that nation is basically irrational. On a knife edge, ready to go off at any moment, likely to do berserk things. They have to look at that nation and believe that its premier is driven by enough psychopathy that they would be willing to see the murder of 20 million innocent civilians for no other reason than sheer revenge.
Right.
It's called the crazy strategy.
The crazy strategy.
Israel pioneered it. Iran have adopted it. America uses it quite successfully. We, on the other hand, have adopted a different strategy. Our strategy is rather more subtle.
What is it?
The letter of last resort.
Oh, John, I don't understand. I can't...
Try, Prime Minister.
My head's full.
20 million human lives depend on this. Try.
It's rational to behave irrationally.
Yes.
Therefore, it's irrational to behave rationally.
Yes.
Therefore, we prove our irrationality by behaving rationally.
Yes.
The more rationally we behave, the more irrational we appear to be.
Yes.
So we pursue rationality to utterly insane levels.
Yes.
We pursue rationality until it creates a logical paradox so extreme it breaks through the simple binary opposition of rational and irrational and becomes something else. Something beyond. Something transcendent.
You've got it.
The letter of last resort.
The letter of last resort.
A letter which has to exist, but which can't exist. A matter in which the only rational way to behave is to be irrational. Writing words whose purpose is never to be read. It's absurd.
Isn't it?
It's like an absurd drama.
Yes.
It's like an episode of Yes, Prime Minister.
Yes, Prime Minister.
An absurd scene in which you and I are caught up in one of the odd conundrums of British political bureaucracy, mysterious and maddening, but oddly endearing.
Quite. Or Pirandello.
Yes, Pirandello.
A spiralling pirouette of logic that rises up and up into pure ether.
The Daily Mail.
Hilarious.
But of course, we're not in a play by Pirandello.
No.
This scene is like an absurdist drama, but it is not, in fact, an absurdist drama.
No.
Because I am the Prime Minister.
Yes.
And you're John.
Yes.
Except, of course, I'm not the Prime Minister.
No?
Because I'm dead.
Yes.
And so are you.
Yes. Prime Minister, are you all right?
I can't help thinking of him, John. Him and Kevin. Under the sea. Hanging in the shadow of a mountain, searching the frequencies. No Archers. No Today programme. No Gardener's Question Time. No cricket, no Woman's Hour, no feedback, no thought for the day. No voices at all. Only the absence of things. He's searching, but there's nothing there. Only the empty wave bands calling out across the sea. Shh. Shh.
Prime Minister, it is late. We don't want to be caught with our pants down, so to speak.
No.
Would you mind writing the letter now? In The Letter of Last Resort by David Gregg, the Prime Minister was played by Belinda Lang and John by Simon Chandler. It was a BBC Scotland production directed by Nicholas Kent and produced by Lou Kemp. The Letter of Last Resort was originally commissioned and produced by the Tricycle Theatre as part of a cycle of plays, The Bomb, A Partial History.
And if the play we've just heard has left you wondering what orders you would give to a Trident submarine commander, stay with us. That's the task Paddy O'Connell has set for his guests in Letter of Last Resort, the discussion.
Hello. A submarine slips beneath the waves, armed with nuclear weapons and the orders of state. It's the stuff of fiction, as we've heard here on Radio 4 this afternoon, and seen in countless Hollywood blockbusters.